So, let's see. I believe we've now looked at everything in this entire system, so let's head back to the mass relay. And we will
Only half our fuel remains.
head over to the next area where we're expecting to find the last of these missions. So let's see. Investigate... No, not Project Overlord. Firewalker, Prothean Ruin. Hades Nexus. Okay, so before we get too carried away or distracted here, let's make sure we load back up on fuel. And we'll get the probes as well, of course. Because that is a perfect match right there. Okay, let's see. Our first planet is over here. In this case, it's Bothros. A rock and ice planet, Bothros is home to a scientific curiosity. Evidence of a primate-like spacefaring civilization was found frozen in its equatorial ice. Sounds very interesting. Ranging from melted fragments of metal to preserved remains of creatures still wearing suits of extravehicular activity. Huh. Further exploration revealed that their habitation centers were vaporized by orbital bombardments from railgun-like weapons hitting with a force of approximately 120 kilotons of TNT. Only those that fled or happened to be away from the habitats were preserved in the ice, where they died of asphyxiation. This unknown species did not come from Asteria, but scientific teams are looking for evidence that they visited there. It is difficult to believe that they would colonize a frozen rock like Bothros and ignore a lush garden world. Their world of origin is also a mystery. Alliance Bulletin, Geth have been encountered in the Hecate system. All civilian traffic is prohibited. Okay. Ooh, it is rich though. Let's scan it and see what we might find. That's okay, but it's probably not good enough. Whereas here, also decent, but not fantastic. Oh, hold on though. That's a large source of element 0, as it turns out. I am certainly interested in that.
Probe launched.
In that case, over 1,000. I think on the order of 1,400. So, like, yeah, you know, not against the palladium here, although, well, I was gonna say maybe it's not quite enough to warrant launching a probe here, although that may be by the time we get there. But the element 0, I think, definitely does take top priority here. A little bit of a increase over here somewhere, but expecting it to go up higher, and then it didn't, and now I've lost it. Element 0, where'd you go? Where'd you go? That's, again, decent, but not fantastic. That's not EZO. I ordered EZO. That may be worth doing. That's a fair bit of platinum, yes. And it has some iridium, some palladium, I think.
Launching probe.
And now it's only listed as a good planet. So I didn't even notice it might have been listed as that previously. One exception I would make would be if we do come across a nice EZO deposit that we missed previously. I saw one. Or at least started to see one over here before, but perhaps not. Perhaps not. I think all the other ones at this point on a good planet probably not worth the bother. So I think it was the EZO deposit that we found that was the best anyway. All the things we found on that planet. And then we have Triodia, a modestly sized gas giant with an icy core. A modestly sized giant. That's an oxymoron for you. With an icy core, Triodia's hydrogen and methane atmosphere gives it a bluish color. It has 14 moons named after Asari virtues. Alliance Bolton Geth have been encountered in the Hecate system. All civilian traffic is prohibited. Well, we're here anyway. And this one has moderate resources, so chances are we are not terribly interested here unless we do happen to see more element 0 in this location, but I'm not immediately seeing that from a quick look through. And I would say that this would potentially be around the Asari homeworld if this was a place that they were investigating, but this is... Oh no, not Asari. Well, I would say Asari, given how it's based on their stuff, their virtues here. But no, it's the Geth presence is rather large, and that's actually something that I don't think we've really talked about much, but within the Terminus systems, I believe, technically, is the Perseus Veil, which is something we heard about in Mass Effect 1, which is basically this big cloud in the galaxy that's really hard to see through, where I think the general idea, the general consensus, if you will, is that that is presumably where the primary Geth establishment is, but of course questions abound as to what exactly the Geth are up to and where exactly they might be. But let's see. Next we have Kerr, which is a dry, desolate planet. Kerr is temperate, but supports little life above the microscopic level. I mean, that's still pretty remarkable. Its Earth-like temperatures and gravity make it an appealing place to build habitation hideways. Attracting Batarian slavers and criminals can't afford more luxurious safe houses on other planets. Its forgiving nitrogen-helium atmosphere makes EVAs possible with a minimal amount of equipment. A breathing mask and warm clothing is usually sufficient. Mining and other legitimate activities are few and far between on Kerr. The planet's crust is largely free of precious metals, darn, instead of producing kilometers upon kilometers of dolomitic limestone, calcite, and gypsum. And again, there are Geth here, so be careful. It says no valuable resources, and yet it is a rich planet, and that is a whole lot of palladium. So we're gonna nab that.
Probe launched.
Because you can't tell me that isn't good, and this is... Alright, it shows potential here. It's pretty good. Potentially worth considering. Let's see if there's anything even better. That's not quite as good, I don't think. Neither is that. Oh, something's starting to shoot up there. Now, this might be talking here. I mean, okay, yeah. Palladium, solid. Maybe still not quite as good as we'd like, but add in the iridium, which is not completely insignificant, and that might be worthwhile.
Launching probe.
That's the one we were looking at before? It might be. That's pretty good. It's still considered rich, so in theory... Come on. Where'd that one shoot up? Here. Still not quite good enough. This might be sufficient, because again, we've been pretty darn aggressive. This is the one we were looking at before with Platinum. We've been pretty darn aggressive with our scanning thus far. And so, I mean, we might even be at the point where we don't need to do any more scanning. So I'd say let's, in fact, might be worth taking we'll only scan when we know that we need the resources approach here. You know, if we run out of stuff, then go for it. Because, of course, we know we're going to get additional resources from just doing missions. It's probably not worth buying probes here. We still have a vast majority of them. Let's look at the other systems here. Because Pamyats does not have the quest in it, but we don't know anything about it right now, so we might as well check it out. And I think it's just these three, and fortunately they're all fairly close together, and this one looks tiny. Let's see. However, I'm curious to see. Let's explore this area, and then we'll have a better sense mathematically based on the percentage that we get as to whether there might be anything in this asteroid belt as well. So we've got Patsayev, a rock planet encased in frozen oceans. Patsayev is notable for the largest written message ever created by a human being, Andrei Kobzar, a disgruntled miner whose fortunes were spent prospecting for Ezo, Use the mass accelerator cannon of a local mercenary group's A-61 Mantis gunship to carve a 208-kilometer-long message in the ice saying Zdez Nichego Net, Russian for "There's nothing here." The message can easily be seen from space. Ironically, the message itself, intended to discourage future colonists, now draws small tourist crowds. You say there's nothing here, but it is rich, and you say you're prospecting for EZO, and I was just saying that we might not want to do any more probe launching unless we know for a fact that we need more resources. The one exception to that rule I would make, general principle, that I would make, I mean, that's pretty convincing. That does look really tempting, but would be if we find EZO. And that's, of course, I think, pretty much always fair game. Now you were attempting to find EZO, I thought that, maybe that meant it would be an EZO source here, and then again, you're trying to say there's nothing here. We've already proven that that is not actually the case, based on how this is actually a rich planet. Yeah, so there are several good to great sources even. There's that one with the double. Looked like it was probably the best, but again, I think unless we're getting EZO, why don't we pass for now? Then we have Dobrevolsky, another near-Earth-sized rock planet without much atmosphere to speak of. Dobrevolsky is home to All-Time Mineral Works, a local extraction company noted for its success in EZO refining all the stock of EZO. The planet itself provides alumina for local fabricators, which are churning out habitats at an astonishing rate for a system that has no garden planets. With its ore supply coming all the way from the Shoal system, Dobrevolsky is held up as the proof of the miner's cliche: where there's EZO, there's an economy. Suppose so? Well, we're about to find out. Can we find EZO here? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And it is a rich planet, so in theory we might find a decent source of it. I mean, that's okay from an EZO standpoint, but we have seen better in the past on other planets, so I wonder if we can do better here as well. That at times look marginally better. That's decent, hold on, but EZO as well. That, hold on, where was it? Where was it? That I think is worthwhile.
Launching probe.
40,600, and we get about 600 from it. It's decent. Not the best we've ever gotten, but that is very good. It might be the best we've ever gotten for EZO. It's up there. It is certainly way up there. Try to get it right. Let's see. 41,200. Yeah, about 1,000. Probably the EZO source that we're looking at initially. It is technically still considered a rich planet, yes, but, for the other resources that we probably don't care as much about. So, why don't we call it quits here, I think. And, yeah, we're only on 50%. So, we know there's one more planet here. I think that means there probably is something in that asteroid belt as well. We'll want to check that out in a second. We have Komarov, first charted by the Asari, but colonized by humans. The Pamiot system is home to Komarov, an Earth-sized body near the star. It has little atmosphere to speak of, but this has not stopped exploration by robo-miners who have recovered iridium from the planet's crust. Also rich, it does seem like we're hearing a whole lot about people mining stuff here, perhaps for good reason. This system does seem to be a treasure trove of resources, so, we'll make an exception in this case, since that's possibly the best source of iridium we've seen thus far. That might still be the same source. The edge of it. Okay, or it's good, but not fantastic. Whereas that is borderline fantastic. Okay, fine.
Launching probe.
But only if you make me. Oh my goodness. Now that's better. That's much better. That's ridiculous. That might be the best node we've seen ever, regardless of what resource, in part because it's an amazing source of iridium. Solid. It's a decent source of platinum, and maybe even a tiny bit of palladium in there as well.
Launching probe.
A little bit of it, yeah. Okay, now it's downgraded to good, perhaps because that was just an enormous amount of resources in total that we collected from that spot. So, why don't we leave it here? And as I was saying, we're only at 75% here, and we seem to have explored all the planets. Which means that's a good indication that there's something over here. It's Volkov, a dwarf planet. Volkov has a thick atmosphere of nitrogen and krypton, home to a thriving iridium mining community. Okay. Volkov's reputation summed up as rich but dangerous. Pirates often lurk behind Volkov's two moonlets, Zenevieva and Elena, and cripple freighters leaving the atmosphere. To make matters worse, Volkov sits in the Chazov belt, a field of asteroids and other small bodies, which leads to frequent meteor strikes on the planet. Meteor-related casualties remain rare, but on Volkov, the chances of such a death are high enough that they are factored into insurance premiums. And there are 3,800 people here. I mean, you say there is a mining facility here. I mean, we can't say no.
Probe away.
Not when it's that good. That's just ridiculous. Like, probably on roughly the same level as the one we were saying just a minute ago was maybe the best probe we've ever launched. And so this is a good example of, like, if you were super picky with which resources you probed, and you only took from places like this, then, you know, like, maybe could save a bit long term. Like, this is still quite good for iridium, but for being ridiculously picky, and we could pass on that, even though that, of course, once upon a time would have almost certainly met our standard. That might have even met our standard for palladium a while back, but oh, again, it is really good, but it is not scale breaking, and I think at this point we're looking at scale breaking or bust. So it's good. This system as a whole, very good when it comes to scanning your planets. But let's head over to Poplos now, which is the place we're actually expecting to run into our mission here. Okay, and it's small, but there is a big planet here. It's Aegis, hydrogen-helium gas giant. Aegis is the site of an unparalleled cosmic event roughly 1.8 million years ago. An extrasolar body about 200 square kilometers in size was drawn into Aegis's gravity well and struck the Jovian planet, blasting enough dust and material into orbit to create a ring. An urban legend has grown over this event. The story goes that if the extrasolar body, usually called a comet, was unaffected by the gravity well of Aegis, it would have coincided with an orbit of Trident and created an extinction-level event on that planet. Prevailing scientific opinion holds that this is an exaggeration at best. Sounds like we'll want to take a look at Trident. Maybe there is a planet in the system that is, well, may have a lot of people on it. This is just moderate here on Aegis, so I don't think we're gonna see anything we're particularly interested in here again, unless there's something scale breaking, but that's not gonna happen on a moderate planet or Ezo, but nothing there. Okay, so then now we have Trident, yes, a human-dominated world with over 95% of its surface area covered by salt water. Trident is home to a dazzling array of life. The oceans are filled with creatures ranging from tiny bivalves, clams, to mammoth vertebrates unequaled even by Earth's game tabbing out. Earth's whales and each of Oh, swords. Some kind of dinosaur? Small archipelagos create what little land there is, and its valuable real estate is fought over constantly. Underwater extraction operations have recovered a number of valuable minerals from the ocean floor, including iridium, uranium, and dust form element 0. All those things sound good. Especially the EZO. A largely lawless world, Trident is home to a rogues gallery of unethical corporations exploiting the resources of the planet, and actual rogues, criminals, slavers, and mercenaries work in the shadows. Travel advisory. Due to extreme weather conditions, all traffic to the surface is grounded. Trident Spaceport Control predicts this condition will persist until the end of hurricane season. Interesting. I was expecting for it to be more a travel warning for all the crime that's happening there. But it's 6.8 million. Actually, a little bit surprised it's not higher than that, given the description there. But let's see. It is considered a rich world because, as we are hearing them say, there's a treasure trove of resources here. But again, we're looking for either scale breaking or nice source of EZO, and there was mention of EZO. So I think it's theoretically possible that it may show up here. So no signs of it yet. And overall, fairly underwhelming for a rich world until we got to this. It is very, very good. It's great. It's not quite scale breaking. It's not the same level we were seeing in the previous system where quite literally, I mean, it really broke the scale. That's just decent. Added some other resources along with the platinum, which perhaps make it a little bit more interesting. And again, I think, you know, if we'd gone here earlier, we might have said, yeah, sure, go for it, but we've done so much scanning as of late that I think we can draw a line in the sand and say, nah, we probably don't need to go there. Let's see, then we've got, looks to be a planet here and then a moon soon after it. So let's see, small rock planet, Makira's thin atmosphere and high albedo keeps it from being much hotter than it is. Crust is high in sodium oxide, giving the planet a whitish tinge. It's already 206 degrees Celsius, so it's already pretty hot, and it is rich. Let's see if you have any scale-breaking resources. Like, that's a pretty good source of iridium all the way around for a very long time, but no, I don't think it's quite good enough to warrant. Same with that platinum there again. One of those things where earlier on we probably would have said, yeah, that meets our criteria, that's good enough, but trying to become pickier and pickier the more resources we have acquired, because, well, we may be in a good place from a resource standpoint now, or at least by the time we loot all the stuffs from all our various missions. Okay, so then we have Opus.
Anomaly detected.
Which appears to be the place where our mission is going to take place. Makira's largest moon, Opus, is a desolate place with an extremely thin atmosphere. Its crust is largely silica-based, and there are no signs of water. Like its parent planet, its high albedo keeps it from being a total inferno. And when occluded by Makira, its temperature can be nearly tolerable. Its low gravity can easily be countered by a vehicular or personal Mass Effect field for comfortable exploration. Okay, so we'll definitely head over there, but let's check this last planet first. It's Trident, a rock with all traces of atmosphere burned away. Trident orbits the star Hoplos at a blistering pace, every 36 days. Though tidally locked, even its twilight belt and shaded side are too barren to support life. With so many resources on its sister planet, Trident, Trident has largely been ignored by the galactic surveying community. Whoa, 908 degrees Celsius, at least mean, and it's tidally locked, which means one side of the planet is always facing the star, whereas one side is never facing it. So, if the mean is 908, then that's gotta mean that the side that is facing must be absolutely scorching hot, and this is only good. Probably don't care about this unless we happen to find EZO, but I don't think there was anything that would hint that that was going to happen, based on the description. So I think we're going to pass this up here. And let's head over to Opus, where
Anomaly detected.
we should scan. So it is rich, and there is the anomaly. It's right here.
Probe away.
Let's see.
Something on our sensors.
So the anomaly detected is a Prothean artifact detected on planet's surface. Artifact site is protected by a powerful energy barrier. Scans detect muted mechanical signatures consistent with hidden automated defenses. Hidden automated defenses. I mean, when you said mechanical signatures, I assumed that meant Geth. And we did kind of get another Geth warning for this one, right? Obviously, we ran into Geth in our previous Firewalker mission, but it seemed as though we might run into them here as well. Let's bear that in mind. Let's also see if there's anything else worth scanning here, because that's a wide variety of resources. No single thing that is amazing. Check elsewhere for anything super inspiring. Oh. Not quite. I mean, again, good enough by our old standard, probably. But, not today, I don't think. Not saying that this side's just, like, completely barren. Wow. Oh. Ooh. This one's interesting. This one is interesting. The platinum by itself, probably not high enough that we would think that this is worth it, but that's a decent source of iridium and palladium as well. Let's go with this one and then probably call it a day. Okay. And now, let's leave orbit just for a second here. Well, let's exit just for a second to read up on our journal here, because we are about to land where the Prothean site is. While searching through the data from Komarov, Cerberus discovered Dr. Case's last known location, the planet Opus. It is believed that Dr. Case had discovered a Prothean site on the planet and set out to excavate it, and that's what we learned about, or at least seem to have confirmed, based on our probe that we just sent out. So we'll land on the planet and investigate the dig site. Sounds simple enough, but as I was saying, I think there was some indication that we might run into Geth here as well. So let's land. And even if there are Geth, I still think in all likelihood we're still just gonna fight them from the Hammerhead. So I don't think our team really matters here. So once again, we'll just take the Hammerhead team, the Jays, and I don't think we need anything in particular here or here. So let's break out the ship.
Kinetic barrier detected. Kinetic barrier strength beyond conventional weapon capability. Recommend disabling power sources.
Okay. 4 generators left. Sounds like we need to take those out. Before we can do anything. This barrier is protecting whatever this place is. And yes, it does look like there are Geth here. And those Geth have rocket drones that pop up out of the ground, which is devious, I might add. I assume... Oh, there we go. That there are a finite number. It's just that they're sneaky. There we go. Fortunately, they don't have a lot of HP. And they seem to take a little bit of time after they pop up before they're actually able to fire at us. And I think what we're going to do here is we're basically going to follow these power cords, these distribution lines, if you will. But, oh, I was gonna say, yeah, there's probably more of those guys. You're not dead. Now you should be. Okay. Oh, hold on. You came up out of nowhere. I suppose is kind of your thing. Wait. Fraction more firepower. Did that hit us? That might have hit us. Just a fraction more firepower so that we could actually take them out at one fewer hit. Oh, that guy might have hit us. Not even see him there. There's more up here as well. Don't crash into that though. Our rockets. Ooh, our rockets can kind of, sort of home. A little bit. I'm not sure if they have enough of that ability though to shoot around these types of humongous sheets of rock. Does look like there's also some resources over here, but before we pursue it with reckless abandon, let's see if there are any other drones. No, because of course we're going to be incapacitated for a little bit here. But it's element 0. So I'm a big fan of that. Got drone down there. Like, see, look at that. That's pretty serious curvature. Get you from that angle, but so could you. Just sidestep that real quick. Okay. So I think, yeah, here is appears to be generator we're looking to take down. Okay, it's just 3 generators left. I imagine the Geth will not be pleased about that. Did we take that out? I think we did. Okay, so it looks like generators are probably fairly evenly spaced out here. So, yeah, we've got one. Seems to be pointing us in this direction over here. If we can even see one, might be able to snipe this one from this range. Not sure we have the precision. Hit it from this far back, though. Please don't missile us. Tempting as it may be, I kind of want to try, at the very least. Okay, let's not get hit in the face with missiles. Preferably. Because again, this thing can't take too many hits. But there are actually, right, there are a bunch of generators. Let's see if this works.
Kinetic barrier strength reduced.
Yes, it did. As it turns out. Probably will still want to go over there just to see if there's any other loot in that area, because as we're seeing here, there's some down here. You can see one of the barriers down there on that ground floor. But if it's EZO in particular, and of course we want to make sure we're getting that. Because that there's the good stuff. Ooh, you guys have more range than I might have expected you to have. Got something over here, another rocket trooper somewhere. Just saw. Oh, down below. Low. Hello. Ooh, that was close. Okay. So, ooh, we haven't been in that direction yet, I suppose. Yeah, there's a lot of loot to be had here, it seems. I think it's largely just a matter of patience. Trying to make sure that, yep, we don't get ourselves in too much over our heads. In a situation in which there are a bunch of rocket drones that we don't see or that just completely overpower us. Because, yeah, especially if you're charging in here, imagine a lot of them could pop up and overwhelm you pretty quickly.
Kinetic barrier strength reduced.
Okay, that one's down. Any more drones? Because we saw this guy. I'd like to nab. Some more EZO. He's all gonna be EZO. This is 315 is a lot. Okay, only one force field remaining, as it turns out. I mean, we sniped at least one of them, so that might have something to do with it, but okay, we know there were drones down here. There is obviously that source of Probably Ezo. But yep. Just want to make sure we're not walking into a booby trap here. Because there are more drones. Just take our time. Take them out as they pop up. Stay mobile. You don't want them shooting at us while we're scanning this thing, because it'll take us a little while to do it. There we go. That one not as plentiful. Actually, not sure where the one remaining probe is at this point, or rather, generators at this point, because we've done a lot of attacking things from afar without necessarily going down. Like, I know we've gotten rid of this one, but I think there was some loot that we were interested in getting in this general direction, so perhaps still worth pursuing for that reason. Might have wanted to deviate a little bit more by tapping here, so we can still take this guy out without getting hit ourselves. I think he's down now. Can we make this jump? No, we can't. We don't seem to be able to. There might be another way up, and that way up might require going over here. And if it does, then we gotta get through some drones. Oh, yeah, that appears to be the last one. But before we take it out, let's see if we can... Ooh, we can loot more stuffs here, because I do think there's more. Thought we saw more from afar at the very least. In this direction, yes. Several movements back. Be careful here. I do really like the lateral mobility of the Firewalker here, or the Hammerhead rather, where you can zip around a bit. You can actually sidestep missiles fairly easily. So I'm not sure if we actually automatically trigger the next part of our mission if we take out all these barriers, and so I'd like to make sure that we loot everything first, just in case. Let's see, but we'd like a better way back up there. There's something over there that I just saw. But another... Was it just this that's kind of peeking through a little bit? Or this rocket drone? I remember, unlike in Mass Effect 1, there's not really any additional benefit from an experience or credits standpoint of taking out additional rocket drones. It's mostly just for safety purposes. I know this is the last one, obviously, but I'm trying to find a better way up here because we know there's more stuff for us to loot. Can we make this jump? It's like maybe just barely, but it really seems like we need a little bit more altitude. This I think is what we're looking for. Going up here. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so we go from this side. Now I think we're in business. Can we... Oh, I did not mean to do that. Just slam into everything while we're at it. Yeah, we can take out that drone from here. That's pretty sweet. There may be more over here. But at least at the moment it's safe. More Ezo. A large amount of it as well. So that's sweet. More drones. At least a couple of them. Okay, you're down. I think there's at least one more of those scannable element zero sources. Hey. Look at this. Windy pathway over here. Oh, and this took us to one of the generators previously, okay. Now, was that the one we were eyeing before? The one that we got over here? Is that the last of them? it might be the last of the Element Zero sources. For some reason, I thought we had one more, but we might be done, because I mean, just take a look around here, and I'm not seeing any glowy signs, so I think we're good. We were just over there, so it's not there, and so, okay. Blast that.
Kinetic barrier strength reduced.
Take down the barriers.
Kinetic barrier deactivated. Path is clear.
Alright, enter the dig site and recover Prothean stuffs. Now, this one, I don't remember. We might actually have a portion here where we proceed on foot. Because, of course, that has not been the case with any of, well, I mean, there was a tiny portion for one of them, yeah, in which we did it. Okay, so it is actually relevant, I suppose, that we brought Jacob and Jack, or at least somewhat relevant that we brought Jacob and Jack. So, okay. In that case, let's have Jacob use his squad incendiary ammo. But, the thing is, if we're expecting Geth, this isn't exactly the best team for it. And by it isn't exactly the best team for it, I mean this is actually a horrendous team for it. As it turns out. Fortunately, we are apparently the shotgun squad. So at least from a weapon standpoint, we're actually okay with it. Like we were saying previously, with the particularly plus 50% shields damage upgrade with our shotguns, and Geth Plasma Shotgun, I think, does a little more damage to shields than other shotguns. It's a decent matchup in that sense, but at least from an abilities standpoint, we don't really have a good answer for that. We have lots of biotics, but we need to get rid of enemy shields before we can do that. So, okay, before we actually go in here, let's just take a quick look around on foot, see if there's anything we want to make sure to pick up, but I don't think so. So let us carry on here. And did we... what's that? Can't tell if it's cute or disgusting. Like, is it peaceful, or is it going to jump up on our face and try to suck the life force out of us as soon as we walk past it? Can't quite tell. Can't quite tell. Did he say? Looks like we did. Looks like we did. Scurries away? Okay. If it just scurries away, then I think it's safe to say that it is, peaceful enough. Okay, but our question here is, are there Geth? See, we've got a data pad here. The site is spectacular. Time, however, has proven to be the real enemy. Even with those blue sun thugs hired to protect the dig site, we barely managed to erect the shield before the Geth arrived. How can they know our movements almost before we do? Am I beaming my thoughts directly to them? I must find out how they are doing this. I shall ask Dr. Oloy for whatever help he can provide. Okay. Sure. Oh. Find Element Zero. It's even more Element Zero. That is definitely the theme of this area from a resource standpoint. We got lots of that. Okay. Hello. Dramatic spiral staircase. Enemies? Question mark? None thus far. Oh, hold on. Got a journal over here and more Element Zero. And a dead body. Okay, we got lots of stuff here.
Dr. Oloy must have been indoctrinated by the Reapers.
Oh!
I found him sending our data to a Geth ship.
Oh! So that's how they knew.
I won't be responsible for another Geth attack. Another Eden Prime. I've silenced Oloy. Forever.
Oh. Well that spiraled out of control very quickly. What about the Ezo here? And this dead body has a lot of credits, so like that. Now, I don't think there's anything over here, so we're headed in this direction. Okay, another journal. And a research terminal. Okay. And a computer console. Lots of stuff here. Start the console so we can hack this for, well, it doesn't say. We'll have to see. Okay, so it is this. Then it is that. Then it is this. Convenient. Let's see. Oh. Hello? Giant, floaty, shiny orb thing. Let's read the journal.
It's too late for me. They're still in my head, stealing my thoughts. I can't keep them out. I've got no choice but to destroy this relic. And myself.
Oh, you know, it does kind of sound like you might have been indoctrinated as well.
This is valuable.
Oh, don't mind if I do biotic damage. We are, of course, biotic ourselves, and this might be the first time we've had an entirely biotic team with us. Well, I shouldn't say that because Jacob and Miranda are both biotics, so our first team had all biotics as well, so I take it back. But not often that we've been doing that these days, at least. Okay, tell you what, maybe we save before we approach giant floaty orb thing. And it does... Oh. So it's a relic. Does reflect a lot of stuff around here. But one thing that it does remind you of is if you remember the giant orb that we saw on, I think it was Elatonia in Mass Effect 1, which was the place where it had, what, the space monkeys, had like a bunch of things. Was it also the... one of the many infinite Paragon points glitches? It might have been. And then what we found there was we got this long story about what seemed to be some kind of creature or machine that was watching some ancient species, maybe humans, maybe something else. But that's what happened there. It looks very similar to this, so okay. Well, let's check it out. Shepard. I don't think it liked that. Oh. Alright. Mission complete, as it turns out. Dr. Case's research station found. Prothean artifact recovered, and we just needed to poke it, as it turns out. It's another 125 experience. We'll have to take a look. I think we're getting kinda close to leveling up. Don't think we're quite there yet. It'll take a few more side quests, or of course, just a main quest. Then the biotic damage upgrade is 10%. Of course, would love if it was a little bit higher than that, but it is for the entire squad, so that's not bad. Standard firmware shipping with bioamps is designed to work with a variety of alien races and nervous systems. By hacking this firmware to relax built-in safety protocols, just break all the safety protocols. More powerful Mass Effect fields can be generated. At what cost? Don't worry about it. Each hack must be done carefully, tuned to the individual's nervous system, or there's risk of nervous system damage, sensation loss, or blindness. Yeah, you know, that doesn't sound like fun. Then decent amount of credits, and also a large sum of Element Zero. And that is the conclusion to the Firewalker DLC missions. It was all, as you can kind of tell, sort of building up in intensity and then eventually directing us toward that one there. So, and a Prothean artifact
a new message at your private terminal.
is, of course, a pretty big deal. Let's see if this message might have anything to do with it. Historic discovery from Project Firewalker. The burst of energy that coincided with your retrieval of the Prothean artifact contained coded information. Most of the data was beyond our ability to track, but the threads we were able to decrypt have provided new avenues for research on energy transfer and biotics. It will keep the scientists busy for years to come. The data indicates that the artifact is currently inert and not dangerous. Currently, you say. We wonder, however, that if Dr. Case had more time, would he have unlocked its secrets? We will continue his research. A landmark find for humanity. Good work, Shepard. Nice. Okay, so as I said, that is technically the last level, the last mission for Project Firewalker, Firewalker DLC. We did pick up the, not weapons upgrade, but the, is it technically a prototype? The biotic damage? Let's see, Krogan Vitality? That's not what I'm talking about, though. Where, did we just automatically get it? I thought we were still gonna have to research it. But, I feel like, there it is, this is an armor upgrade, technically, okay. So it requires EZO, as one might expect, of biotic stuff, but we've been loading up on that a lot as of late. We've been loading up on a bunch of resources as of late, so let's go for it. Of course, it'll help us, it'll help several of our squad mates. 10% maybe not a huge difference maker, but you never know when that's going to be the difference between life and death. Anything else with our large sum of resources that we'd like to invest in now? We could make the sniper rifle damage upgrade, because we have all the resources. I mean, again, we were talking about how, at least from a credit standpoint, we won't be able to purchase everything, but from a resource standpoint, once we already have the outlines, the blueprints, the schematics for the upgrades, then I think we'd still be okay to move forward with some of these, because I say that because snipers probably not that high on our priority list, since we can't use them, and we'd only be having them when we bring a teammate along with us which can use them. Then again, as a Vanguard, our specialty tends to be close range, so I think we are long-term likely to try to make a point of having someone who is capable of providing sniper support fire, like, say, Zaid, because he covers for a lot of our weaknesses in that way. So for that reason, it's not a bad idea by any means. It's just that, you know, what's the opportunity cost? What are we potentially giving up to make that happen? Ooh. Need one more biotic damage upgrade so that we can get biotic duration. We don't have much in the way of duration powers yet, but once we start investing into pull, then that will become a much bigger factor, and for our squad mates that do already have that, that's obviously a pretty big deal. Let's see, then sometimes when Shepard's shields go down, they are instantly restored. I think for this one we were saying might not be that concerned about this, because we can, worst comes to worst, biotic charge in and just automatically get our shields back that way. Of course, it does mean putting ourselves in harm's way to do so, but and Unity heals our squad back to full health would not be a bad idea. We are trying to not use our Unity too often to save the Metagel, but we need one more Metagel capacity upgrade before we can even consider doing that. Then we did pick up the Krogan Vitality. We don't have a Krogan squad mate at the moment, so that doesn't really matter. Jack, we did pick up a bunch of EZO, so, you know, sure, we'll go for it. We'll give her some extra damage. And other than that, see, I was curious, after doing all those Firewalker missions, what are we looking at from an experience standpoint? We need 270 to level up, which is an unfortunate number because that is just over the equivalent of 2 side quests that take us on separate planets, you know, 2 relatively large side quests. It'd be a little bit more than that, and I'm thinking that, you know, well, we've, of course, exhausted Firewalker now. Where does that leave us? We still have the smuggling depot. That could be one of those missions, although we may not necessarily be ready to do that just yet, because I think we want to load up on a really nice heavy weapon to make that a little bit more straightforward. We have Overlord, which we went kind of close to at one point, which is another DLC, so that might be a good way to follow up after Firewalker. At least those are the missions that we currently know about. And then, of course, we have main quest missions as well, but since we are so close to leveling up, it might be nice to try to get that little chunk of experience that gives us one more level and makes us that much more powerful for the next mission that we take on over here.